Hey, what's up everybody, and thank you guys for tuning in to another video from On Reefer. In today's video, we're going to be talking about something that is extremely important for your tank's health and well-being, and that is the proper acclimation and addition of new corals. Now, full disclaimer before we jump into this video, there is a bunch of different ways to do this. This is just my personal favorite way to do it. I find it works best for me, and it keeps my tanks looking clean and pest-free. So, jumping right into it, you get a new box of corals, so what are you going to do? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. You know, we can't just throw these corals in the tank just like fish. They need to be acclimated, and more importantly, they need to be cleaned and dipped. That's going to keep all the pest and kind of nuisance algae out of your tank. So, the first thing we're going to be talking about today are some of the supplies we need. Now, I personally like to use these little specimen cups here. These little specimen cups come in so much handy. If you're a reefer of any kind, and you know maybe you're not even acclimating any corals or anything like that, I would recommend getting just a bag of these. I think they're $10 for 20 of them or something like that on Amazon, or 25. Extremely affordable. They come in really good handy, especially for swapping frags with friends and for like what we're doing right now with acclimating corals. Next on our list is going to be a good old-fashioned reef dip. I use this one from Chem. There's a bunch of them on the market. Figure out which one's kind of easiest for you to use and understand, and go from there. So following the reef dip, we're going to be needing some chip clips. So when getting some chip clips, I like to use ones that are as plastic as possible. You don't want any metal going into your water that isn't stainless or anything like that. With these ones, you will see that there is some metal on them. However, none of that metal goes into the water, actually, the way I use them. So, yeah, get yourself some nice chip clips, nice plastic clip, something that you could kind of use to clip that, something that you could use to clip that specimen cup to the side of your tank. So that's going to be pretty much it for all the supplies we're going to need. You may also want to pick up a syringe and a toothbrush, but other than that, you're pretty much covered and you're ready to start dipping. Okay, so now that we've got all our supplies, we're going to go ahead and start our dipping. The first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take half the water from the bag that the coral came in and fill our cups up halfway with that water. This is really going to help us get a good start and a good base to start adding water further down the road for our temperature and salinity acclimation. So now that you got your water evenly distributed in these cups, the next thing you want to do is go ahead and put your frags in there. I'm going to go ahead and use 2 cups for 3 of these corals today, because these are all going to be SPS frags that I'm going to be acclimating today, so they're going to play decently together. Just make sure whatever corals you're getting aren't going to be aggressive in the cup together for an hour or so. You should be fine with most corals. It mostly comes down to space. So the next step, once we have our corals in the cup, is we're going to actually go ahead and we are going to clip those specimen cups into our tanks. Now remember when I said this before, we want to make sure not to get any metal in the tank. Any kind of metal in the tank is very bad. It's also going to cause your clips to rust. It's just going to be a very bad time if you get some metal in the tank. So yeah, you guys go ahead, get those cups clipped on, and we could go ahead and start our acclimation process. Okay, so now for acclimation, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a little bit of water over the next half an hour to an hour and slowly fill up the rest of the cups. Just take a little bit of water at a time, and then about every 10 minutes or so, come back and put a little bit more until those cups are full. And like I said, should take about 30 minutes to about an hour. Just depends on how fast you're filling those cups, but definitely take your time. The slower, the better in this process. Great. So now that we've kind of waited about an hour or so for our corals to salinity and temperature acclimate to our tank, the next thing we're going to do is start the dipping process. Now with the dipping process, this is where we're going to start to get some of the pests off our corals. Every coral dip has a little bit different instructions, but for our coral dip here, what we're going to go ahead and do is add about half a milliliter to each one of these cups, and then let it sit for about 30 minutes. Now when putting your dip into these cups, this is where you have to be extremely careful not to get any of this dip into your tank. If you get any dip into your tank, you can really, really mess up your tank. So definitely just take your time when putting this in. Don't rush. Don't splatter it. Don't press the syringe too hard. Just take your time. Slowly put your dip in. And then just let it sit. For my reef dip here, it says let it sit for about 30 minutes or so. So that's what I'm going to do. And also, too, if you feel uncomfortable putting your dip into the cups like this close to the tank, you could pull the cups out of the tank and dip them separately. You're going to be just fine. Your temperature might drop a little bit in the cups, but salt water holds its temperature pretty well, so you're going to be fine if you decide that you're more comfortable doing this outside of the cups. So the last step, after we've got our corals nicely acclimated and they've been through a little dip, what we're going to do is we're going to put all of our corals in this nice little Tupperware, and we're going to give them a good thorough scrub. So scrubbing your corals is extremely important. This is what's going to get those pests and all that nuisance algae off. This is what's going to keep your tank clean. If nothing else you take from this video, take this from this video, because scrubbing your frags is going to save your tank and save you so much money and headaches down the road. Just take a simple toothbrush, scrub them really thoroughly, give them a little rinse, and then just keep going until you get those things nice and clean. Alright, so now that your corals are nice and scrubbed, you're all ready to put those corals in your tank. I'm just going to go ahead and set mine up in these frag plugs here for now and let them kind of acclimate, but that's pretty much going to be it for today. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys learned a little bit of something. I hope I saved you guys some headaches further down the road. Please make sure to like and subscribe. And then also, if you guys give me a follow on Instagram as well, that'd be super cool. So reef on reefers.